clicked out of the video, but this will be in parts, which is not really a big deal. Just make sure you continue clicking on to the next part to see the full video. And it's gonna be basically, oh, I don't know, a couple more of these, but we'll see if they respond and whatnot. And if not, I'll get back to that in another video. Saying mentally, those are my response right there. It was a little bit of an extended response, so I did it in 2 separate posts. But I'm going to read it now. I'm going to say, that is true, there is a push for humans to be docile and passive regarding vices and or our desires, and when it comes to nicotine and or desires, not our desires. When it comes to nicotine consumption, it can have effects as follows. Mental, dependent on nicotine to use mind effectively, etc. Physical, depending on nicotine for energy. Emotion, depending on nicotine to derive sense of emotional well-being. And spiritually, one resonating with their use of nicotine as so-called purpose and or sense of path in life. So we're going to go ahead, post that up, and we're going to go ahead and get on to the next post that we're going to respond to. Someone says nicotine addiction in children. I'm going to respond to this and say, actually, no, that's not. My response, that's not really, they just said, what's one thing that North Korea invented? And he kind of said, as a poke, and I'm sure it possibly happened, but it didn't transfer over to other land masses unless those people specifically traveled and spreaded that activity on. He said nicotine addiction in children. When nicotine addiction in children will be seen, it will be known that therefore there's a agenda to have people being affected by this stuff, and especially at a young age. Of course, everyone's going to have their own actions, but once people are more aware of this and it keeps happening and happening, there's no reason to deny the truth, and there's no really incentive to deny the truth at that point. Once the facts are presented to you and you can see them. So someone said that this star, they say his name, said his right wrist has gotten a lot better. When it's 100% healed, he'll do smoke challenge of not smoking again or something like that. And then someone responded underneath saying, that right there, they said not me thinking he'll smoke, which is a stupid way of saying he will think that he will smoke. Props, because with nicotine line is going strong. And yeah, sure, the new nicotine lines that they have out are just more geared toward getting people hooked and whatnot, but at the end of the day, people are going to have that own decision to see if that's right for them, if that's something that they should go for. And so I said one will decide to use the substance on their own regard or unregard to their mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual state of being. It should be taken into account. Yet the times we live in are questionable if individuals are focused on one's own state of well-being. So I'll go ahead and send that off. Just to get that awareness out there, get people actually more focused on more, angelic ways of seeing what they're going through, rather than just being, oh, I'm so fixated on the mental, emotional, and physical states of being. I'm trying to provide that spiritual perspective in order for people to be able to grow themselves, as well as we can all start to create the reality that we need to create. Someone said Nicotine Dolls going on tour. I need to go is what they said. So I'm going to respond saying, I'm not even going to respond to this one. I'm just going to say that this person obviously does not need to go, but they feel as if they're already validating their emotional state of being, or they're validating their desires of using nicotine, or following a group that has nicotine dolls, which is essentially nicotine is a substance that people use according to their desire to do so. So it's like desire dolls or whatnot. And why doesn't this person realize that that could not be benefiting them in the best way when it comes to their mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical state of being? Just taking that into consideration, I will respond to that saying, take into consideration what you truly need. Take into consideration what you truly need in order to benefit your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual state of well-being. A state of being. That's really what it is at the end of the day. Perfect. I said, take into consideration what you truly need in order to benefit your physical, emotional, and spiritual state of being. Chances are you'll find that being in a state of need is quite opposite of the space in order to benefit self. So I'll say this, and people will say, oh, you're just trying to judge people. You're just trying to change people's ways of how they do things and force people to do things a certain way or see things a certain way. That's not what I'm doing. I'm actually doing the work that I need to do in order to bring people to the awareness to be focused on, let's say, not being so negative towards oneself when it comes to mental state, physical state, emotional state, and spiritual state of being. Of course, at the end of the day, people are going to be stuck in what they're stuck in, but if I'm not going to do that and play that advocate of changing that for the better, then why not? Why even do it in the first place? What is the reason in the first place if I'm not putting in that work and helping to change the reality that we are in? So that's going to be it for this. Just kind of, like I said, visiting the spaces that people were in when they came up with these. I'll get back to it if I get some responses. Of course, later on today I will be having some more videos being released, and until then,